Kina Group buys out Maybank. Border inspection lifting game. And new PNG Power Board sets goals.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. Kina Group has entered an agreement with Malayan banking Berhad to acquire Maybank PNG Limited. Kina Group is the country's largest non-bank financial institution, and this acquisition of Maybank PNG will see Kina Group become PNG's fourth largest bank. The acquisition is worth about 319 million Kina, and the transaction is expected to be complete in July this year.
Let me talk about our staff.
In an exclusive interview with Kina Group Chief Executive Officer Sid Yates, he said that the acquisition of Maybank PNG's local banking business is an excellent fit. He said both the Kina Group and Maybank PNG provide alternative banking and financial services to the big banks.
It's an exciting time for Kina. The acquisition of Maybank we see as a natural fit for Kina. Maybank is a fully fledged banking operation. It's a profitable business. It has a very good client base. Kina is a profitable business. We're not a full bank, but we do hold a number of financial banking institution licenses.
Maybank PNG was established in 1994 as a subsidiary of the largest Malaysian banking and financial services business, Maybank Group. Mr. Yates said that the key benefit for Kina Group of a full banking license would be the lower cost of wholesale funding. The acquisition of Maybank PNG will see Kina Group become PNG's fourth largest bank.
One of the best thing is that because it's a natural fit is that we will be then able to offer a full service banking facilities to the clients of Kina and also of Maybank. We have products at Kina that Maybank don't have, and Maybank have products for their customers that Kina doesn't have. So we believe it will be a natural fit.
Mr. Yates said Maybank PNG was identified as an attractive acquisition for Kina due to its established infrastructure, conservative capital structure and client base. Kina Group will pay approximately 139 million Kina, plus the difference in the value of the net assets of Maybank PNG at the completion of the proposed acquisition compared to the 31st of December 2014. The transaction is being undertaken in consultation with the Central Bank of PNG and is expected to be completed in July 2015. Mr. Yates said both Maybank PNG and Kina Group customers can have a broader access to banking and financial services from under one roof. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The upgrading of facilities at the Wutung border in Vanimo, Sundown Province, will ensure the border is well managed by various border agencies. The Wutung border is a pilot project for the Border Development Authority, funded by the Asian Development Bank. Chairman of the Border Development Authority, Fred Konga, is keen to see the completion of the project.
The Wutung border is finally been given the attention it deserves. The construction of the new border facilities are nearing completion, with the gensets and scanners yet to be installed. Once complete, it will house all relevant border agencies to improve border management. Chairman of the Border Development Authority, Fred Konga, was on site to see firsthand the progress on the project.
BDA now has piloted this project, and that's why we call it Wutung Pilot Border Trade and Investment Project, and that's where we derived the name. And now that we've completed this project, the infrastructure is completed, but we are working with the agencies to ensure that the operational issues are addressed. The telephones are working, the air conditioners are working, the scanner machines are working, the banking facilities are in place, the money changes are in place.
Staff housing for the various border agencies have already been completed. Prior to setting up the facility, border crossing has been poorly managed. But with these new facilities, there will be control over the movement of goods and people across the border. BDA is working closely with the Sundown provincial government to iron out its social obligations to the landowners to prevent landowner disputes.
The landowners are to come up with the LLGs so that we pay that money to the LLGs so we don't have this issue of money going to the wrong hands.
A date is yet to be set to officially open the monument and the facilities. This will come about once all discussions with the Indonesian government are finalized. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Landowners from the Basamuk area of Madang province want to hold positions in the Basamuk Landowner Association. The association is the recognized landowner group in the Ramu Nickel mine. Paul Coy, the chairman of the Sibib clan, where the Ramu Nickel refinery is located, said that they are not benefiting from the spin-off activities and royal payments. He said he got his incorporated landowner group license, so he would want outsiders to move out of the position that is rightfully theirs.
I was thinking blomi mikam lo ya olsem long ol Basamuk igat kain kan man blong antablo Ramu suga oli kam sablo nambis ol sekarai long kama polsem semen blong Basamuk Association na which is all no kawan bladis lakan paper ILG paper na all like puti med blong all go inside lo kama association chairman olsem na mito milai to olsem all this man all like come up olsem all block all this all no can come up chairman blong Basamuk Landowner Association. Me like him all papa through blong this la ground must come up chairman blong Basamuk.
Counting for Pomio by-election should start this Friday. Electoral Commissioner Andrew Troward said polling has completed with the last two LLGs today. Ballot boxes from Sinivit, Pomio Mamusi, East Pomio, Melchior and Central Inland have been airlifted and are currently at the Kokopo Police Station. Meanwhile, nominations for the West Sepik Provincial and Golala Open are still going and will close tomorrow at 4 p.m. Governor-General Sir Michael Ogier has accepted to be the patron of a newly established non-profit organisation. The organisation is the WK Kiri PNG Peace and Goodbella Sinan Foundation, which aims to unite Papua New Guineans while promoting peace. Founder Watts Kiri says the foundation was born due to the increased number of social ills and disharmony in the country.
All partners gathered at the Government House in Port Moresby to be part of the confirmation ceremony. They included the interim board members who comprised the PNG Defence Force Commander, Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo, representatives from the police, and members of other existing foundations such as the Digicel Foundation. This event saw the Governor-General Sir Michael Ogier confirm his role as the patron of the newly established foundation. The foundation aims to promote and foster peace not only among citizens but between locals and foreigners. WK Kiri PNG Peace Nagut Plasinan Foundation was initiated by long-serving accountant and businessman Wat Kiri, the owner of Henry, Karen and Kiri, practicing accountants. The foundation's vision, among others, is to arbitrate and mediate for peace among all the 800 tribes and languages of Papua New Guinea. It is also in line with the government's long-term plan, Vision 2050, which calls for development and prosperity. Following the acceptance of the Governor-General as patron of the foundation, the next task is to formalize management structure and programs. The foundation is currently managed by acting chairman Mark Wani. Bridget Komateb, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News tonight. We'll bring you more local stories coming up after the break. Stay tuned for that. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. Disability advocate Brown Kapi says government's decision for the official use of sign language and disability policy is a breakthrough for the people living with disability. Mr. Kapi says for too long this group of people have been marginalized. However, he questioned the implementation process in pushing this policy.
So we will have fourth language in Papua New Guinea, which is the sign language.
This was an official statement made by Community Development Minister Delilah Gorel last week, Friday. Yesterday, disability advocate Brown Kapi described it as a joyous decision for people living with disability in the country.
It's welcoming news for people with disability, especially those who are living with hearing impairment and speech impairment, because they're the ones who are very ones who are marginalized when it comes to within the disability sector.
The founder of Kapi Foundation, who has been the voice of PLWDs, says for years this group of people have been neglected by the government.
That has become a biggest barrier for people with disability. People who are confined to wheelchairs, who are visually impaired, old age.
However, Mr. Kapi's concern is government's capacity in making these policies workable throughout the country.
Now, the biggest challenge now for the government is the implementation. How do you implement the policy? Whom do you partner with? Whom do you collaborate with? What have you done so far when it comes to a 5-year-old disability policy?
Mr. Kapi is one of the few in the country pushing for rights for people living with disability. He says if the government could go a step further in legislating the policy, it would give teeth to the policy. The policy will be launched on the 27th of May. Jack Lapawe, Junior National, EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea has become the first country in the Pacific region to establish a mobile micro-insurance service. The service will see people saving up money for health and life insurances through the use of mobile phones. It was jointly launched in Port Moresby by the Bank of Papua New Guinea and other developing partners.
The service will be rolled out in the Highlands region, beginning with regional capital Mount Hagen. The decision to start the program in the Highlands was justified by PNG Governor Loy Bakani and other development partners, as the Highlands region is home to over 50% of PNG's population, and almost all its provinces have undergone some form of financial education training since 2013. The service will be executed through BIMI, an emerging mobile insurance company already operating in Africa, Asia and Latin America.
This is the kind of product that we want to make available to our people because it's easy for people to understand and use.
The service will be targeting low-income earners in remote PNG and is desired to give people access to basic financial education on the importance of having a health and life insurance. The joint partnership's objective is to reach 75,000 people in PNG by 2019. Half of this figure must be women.
This program will help address gender inequality and prevent people from slipping into poverty as a result of losing the family breadwinner.
The life insurance will cover death and funeral expenses, while the health insurance will pay for hospital fees depending on the different cover levels. It is a public-private collaboration looking at minimizing the burden of compensation and funeral expenses during a death. Tekla Gunga, National, EMTV News.
Fixing the aging infrastructure will be the immediate goal for the PNG Power Board. PPL Board Chairman Larry Andagali challenged his board during the swearing-in of 5 new members today.
5 new inclusions to the PNG Power Board are Executive Director John Mangos, Directors Gary Hersey, John Pasca, David Conan, Moses Gura. The new members took their oaths before Provincial Magistrate Mekio Gauli after signing the Consent to Act and the Code of Conduct declarations. Independent Public Business Corporation Board Chairman Paul Nerau, in his address, said the appointment of the new members is in line with the government's plans to realign all state-owned enterprises. He challenged the board and the management of PNG Power to align with the government's commercial arrangements.
Answer to realignment to the government strategy and restructure of SOEs. And for us, those of us who swear the Bible and swear the oath we have to align ourselves to our minister and to the government of the day.
PNG Power Board Chairman Larry Andagali commended the achievements of the previous board.
Come up with a program to identify, those, not only to identify but to rectify those problems.
Mr. Andagali told the new board members that the board's greatest challenge now is to identify and resolve the systems that failed the company in delivering to the nation.
Able to understand the commercial reality, the challenges that we are facing, and will be able to articulate, and support me and, the management in coming up with, I think the correct measure.
He said while there is a plan to rectify the problem of power outages, he wants little or no interference from politicians, as he says these do contribute to compromising of commercial decisions.
They must allow the board to make commercial decisions. If the politics, continue to creep in and, and hijack the board's, activities, then, that's where the board's, commercial independence, is compromised.
Mr. Andagali is pleased with the new faces on board, given the fact that they are bringing with them wealth of experience, especially those from corporate background who can understand the dynamics of business in line with delivering to consumer expectations. Mr. Andagali and Finkawe Zurenok, the only female on the board, are two that were retained from the previous board. New director Dr. Clement Waine will take his oath on a later date. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
The Australia PNG Business Forum continued today. In a discussion session, Papua New Guinean businesses were encouraged to seek partnerships with Australian businesses, whilst there were also talks about developing the agricultural sector through projects connecting rural farmers to supply chains. MTV's Bethany Harriman has this report from Leh.
When the Australia-Papua New Guinea Business Forum began yesterday, it showed the existing partnership between PNG and its closest ally. At today's discussions were Papua New Guineans who have used the existing support from Australian businesses to build companies in PNG.
They've offered me the mentoring and coaching, which has contributed hugely to my success as a Papua New businessman.
These networks have included human capital development that has been focused mainly in the mining sector. But as the Papua New Guinean government looks to develop its sustainable priority sectors, like agriculture, it's made calls to improve the existing partnerships with Australia. While the forum provides the stage for the existing relationships to be strengthened and grown, new emerging markets in Asia, Europe and the Middle East has given Australia competition.
They are coming, and if they do not want to come in and support us, meet our national aspirations by growing a more robust and more sustainable economy, we will bring investors from other countries, and I'm talking Europe.
Today's discussions included ways to connect the rural areas of PNG producing fresh fruits and vegetables to buyers. The Papua New Guinean population is increasing, and so food security has become an issue.
We've got innovative technologies and invest in those technologies and bring those technologies with the know-how to come and help us to improve our efficiency with the development so we can become self-sufficient one day.
In the urban areas of the country, there is also growing demands from retail outlets for fresh vegetables and fruit produce for consumers.
Because of the produce depot, we buy about 26,000 kilos of produce from the local domestic market. So that's a week. So if you add that up, there's about 150 tons of produce that we actually purchase domestically compared to about 220 tons per month that we import. And I think the balance has gone a long way to start supporting the domestic market.
CPL Group Chairman Mahesh Patel explains the amount of produce bought by CPL shops and the impact it has on the local economy.
Fresh Fruit and Produce Chairman Fabian Chow said that the agency is working closely with Tari farmers to get their local produce to markets including Tabubil. But the real question is, from the government's tone yesterday,
is how many Australian agribusinesses are willing to partner with local farmers to get their fresh produce to main supplier chains. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
A recent survey report by the United Nations about the Economic and Social Survey of Asia and the Pacific reveals that although there's been improvements in the economic growth, income inequality has increased. The exporting of mineral production has pushed the growth of PNG to 15% this year. The report was officially launched by the Governor of the Bank of PNG, Lloyd Bakani, yesterday.
The 15% increase in the economic growth of PNG has increased the growth of other Pacific Island countries to 9.7%. This is the fastest pace in the Asia-Pacific region, which has resulted in the decline of inflation rate. However, the survey report showed that the economic growth in developing Asia-Pacific region was held back because of infrastructure shortage and commodity dependence. Urban infrastructure was growing while rural communities lacked basic infrastructure. To address these issues, recommendations were set for countries in this region to have better fishery and forestry to support livelihood.
So the message there is that we need to actually vigorously pursue some of the reforms that need to help reduce some of the downside risks to the growth path that's been discussed.
Even though the rates of extreme poverty have declined, Mr. Naidu said the presence of economic growth is not felt across the regions. There has been increase in the main income, but it has not been shared equally. There is also a significant difference between rural and urban sectors and gender inequality. The four main recommendations from the report suggested that if the government want to address the neglect of the rural sector, they must increase agriculture productivity and develop tourism. They must also foster financial inclusion and small and medium enterprises.
Papua New Guinea stands out in a very long line, no longer than the rest of the whole of the world in terms of economic growth. But the question is how inclusive and how sustainable this growth is.
Meanwhile, the policy from the survey report recommends to strengthen macroeconomic policy by reducing non-development expenditures like defense and energy subsidies. Also to increase access and the affordability of health systems and expand investment in education. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
And now we check out the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3685 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our Kina was fetching $0.3610 $0.4486 Australian dollars, $0.3150 euro, and 42.89 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed the day lower, while copper, coffee and cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil closed the day higher as well, while crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 26 points higher, the ASX closed at 120 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 111 points lower. Fact-finding mission in health in Daru and ethnic clashes see shutdown of city market. All that and more of the latest international headlines coming up after the break. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National EMTV News. The 2015 nominations for the CPL Pride of Papua New Guinea Awards for Women have been officially opened by the patron of the awards, Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Michael Ogier. The announcement made in Port Moresby today will see more women being recognised for their community services in the different categories. The nomination was launched in Port Moresby this morning.
The 6 categories include bravery and courage, care and compassion, community spirit, education role model, environment and young PNG. The 2014 winner of Bravery and Courage Award, Monica Paulus, who was selected for a cautious effort to save lives of women and children who were accused of practicing sorcery, highlighted the assistance she gets from CPL as a winner.
Almost 15 lives, and have repatriated them, bring them to a new place, and also find shelter for them, give them food and the medical attentions that they need with the help of the CPL.
The Pride of Papua New Guinea's Women's Award began in 2007. In the years that followed, it gained recognition and sponsors, most of whom are media outlets. For this year, the nominations will end in August. Patron of the awards, Governor General Sir Michael Ogio, praised CPL's initiative to help the award winners continue their deeds by supporting them in providing the equipments or medical supplies they need.
I now encourage you all to go back to your office, your homes, your communities, and find the women that you know are true Papua New Guinean heroes.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
In Western Province, the Special Parliamentary Committee on the Public Sector Reform and Service Delivery are now in Daru. The team, led by Secretariat Dr. Bill Hamblin, they are currently on a fact-finding mission for health. Our journalist Fabian Hakelitz is in Daru and files this report.
This morning, the team conducted several meets, beginning with the Daru General Hospital Caretaker Chief Executive Officer. Then the provincial health authorities from North, South and Middle Fly districts, problems and complications that affect service delivery. Tomorrow, a forum will be held to discuss problems faced within the health system. On Thursday, the team will travel to Mabodawan near the border to Australia and identify problems faced in the rural health. One major concern is the multi-drug resistant TB that continues to become a challenge for health workers of South Fly District and Western Province as a whole. Yes, efforts have been done to combat this epidemic, but more needs to be done, especially in rural areas where transport is costly and health services and infrastructure is inadequate. In Daru, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
An ethnic clash in Port Moresby this morning has resulted in the temporary closure of 6 Mile Market. Two rival groups came to a near confrontation, but quick response by police cleared the area. Ethnic clashes in the city are unsafe despite improved police manpower and better government services.
This morning, two ethnic groups came to a near confrontation at the 6 Mile Market. Police says a man who resides at the Goroka block went to the market, and when returning, a bystander punched him on the face, mistakenly claimed to be one of his previous rival. Following this, the Goroka block community mobilized and attacked the instigator with his group. Traffic was held up for nearly 3 hours. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bauer and few police officers interfered and demanded peace. Bauer instructed the temporary closure of the 6 Mile Market. No one was seriously injured. Such ethnic clash has painted a bad image for Port Moresby. The support system from Wantoks living in cultural or provincial groups has been a contributing factor to mobilization and ethnic clashes in the city. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, while Southeast Asian nations are attending a conference to deal with their migrant crisis, thousands of ethnic Rohingya are stranded adrift in Southeast Asian waters. Myanmar has stated it will not take part in the conference if the name Rohingya is mentioned. An official from the President's office said if the name is used, the Rohingya people will think they are Myanmar citizens.
Beyond this idyllic dream holiday destination, a recurring nightmare is unfolding. Day and night for Rohingya refugees. Men, women, children crammed onto a boat, risking their lives to save their lives from persecution in Myanmar. Cry Woot was out on his boat when he saw one of the many boats of Rohingya refugees. There are so many children on the boat, he tells me. I think there must have been around 100 small children, from younger than 1 year old up to the age of 5. According to the International Organization for Migration, 40% of the Rohingya who flee Myanmar are malnourished. 2 to 4% are severely malnourished. 2% are what's described as human skeletons. I feel so sorry for them. I can't explain it in words, Cry Woot says. It's so different to when you see these refugees on land, and the conditions are so terrible on this boat. They haven't been seen since. We searched and searched. Have you seen any Rohingya boats, he asks. No, they say. We're approaching as many boats as we can to ask them if they've seen this boat. It seems to have just disappeared. Nobody knows where it is, whether it's in Thai waters, Malaysian or Indonesian. Just as is feared, or perhaps even wanted, that this ethnic minority would somehow disappear, a problem people, no politician wants to support or help. The Fortified Rights Group tells me governments in the region have the wherewithal to track these boats and find them. They simply don't want to. The group claims patrol ships stay ahead of those searching for these boats, chasing the Rohingya out of the area. So rights groups and journalists are simply chasing ghosts. The sea, now the only willing host to these very unwelcome guests.
Our bulletin continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The All Search Pacific Games baton relay travelled to the new province of Jiwaka. The team drove from Hagen through the Kuli Gap and into Jiwaka province to help the people celebrate its 3rd anniversary of the province. The first stop was the Carpenter Tea Plantation at Kujip, the source of the country's national #1 tea.
The baton was run through the tea fields and escorted down the plantation roads by the company workers. The baton was delivered to the new provincial headquarters by the team and elders playing the bamboo panpipes. The welcome included the raising of the provincial flag, a march by police, and a handover to the Deputy District Administrator, accompanied by the magnificent Jiwaka Sing Sing groups in their colorful costumes and bird of paradise headdresses. With official ceremonies completed, the relay team traveled the roads of the province, stopping continually throughout at markets, junctions, and where the people were. The baton passed through the twin towns of Minj and Barnes, with traditional Sing Sing groups performing, kickboxers showing us their form, and bodybuilders exhibiting their muscles on the streets, as all wanted to be involved, either just to see and hopefully touch the All Search Pacific Games relay baton. The route included a circuit through the sprawling Wagi Valley and a climb up to the Donut Top. The relay passed the home village of athletic star Toya Wussu and her brother Kupun, where her mother came out to meet the team along with the rest of the village and wish Team PNG go for gold. The Oil Search Baton relay continues.
The PNG Puma Energy Pukpuk Sevens finished a week-long training camp on a high note, with many of the players proving their selection to the extended train on site. While the final team of 12 is yet to be confirmed for the Pacific Games, the Pukpuks have a wide player base to choose from and have shown that they can be a force in July. Assistant coach Douglas Guy says the final team will be announced this week. The PNG NRL League Belong Life program has seen an increase of women and girls in the sport. League Belong Life Development Officer Kathy Naap has said the role of women in the sport is now more prominent than ever and is contributing immensely to changing attitudes in Papua New Guinean society and sporting circles.
The people participating our development officers, the numbers have been increasing, and also for the students who have been participating, we have more girls taking part in rugby league now, or who have an idea in playing the code now. Before it used to be a male-dominated sport where we have a lot of male teams, but as we are going out to schools, we have a lot of females who are interested in playing rugby. So they come up to us asking us if they could join us too. And we tell them that we have only one division, so unfortunately they can't, but as they grow bigger and go to high school, then they can join us when we play. But they're more than welcome to join our clubs and train with us.
True Kai Sports continues after these short messages. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. The indoor sporting complex at Caritas Technical Secondary School here in Port Moresby is near completion and just about ready to host the 2015 Pacific Games. 4 sporting codes will be held inside the new complex. EMTV's journalist Quinton Alomp was given the tour of the building by the school's directress, Sister Florentina Cho.
This state-of-the-art sporting complex will stand as an icon for Caritas Technical Secondary School.
I'm very happy to present this for the South Pacific Games building for our school uses for our multipurpose hall because all this is initiated by the parents in 2007.
The new sporting complex is near completion, ready to accommodate fans and athletes for the 2015 Pacific Games. This is the interior of this new sporting facility here in Caritas Technical Secondary School. It has a seating capacity of approximately 800 people. During Pacific Games, this venue will play host to 4 sporting codes.
It's a multi-purpose facility, so you could use it for the 3 sports: table tennis, boxing, bodybuilding, also for basketball, volleyball. So it really depends on what which sports actually want other tournaments to come in, and if Caritas can also allow them to use this as one of the venues for the competition.
Yesterday, school directress Sister Florentina led a small group of dignitaries, including Minister for Higher Education, Science and Technology, Malakai Tabar, to tour the building.
The wheelchair people, they now have access and they can be part of the stadium, as part of the games. And I would like to thank Caritas, PNG, but more especially the designers and builders of this new building for accepting and allowing our people living with disability.
Tabar is confident the venues for the 2015 Games will be ready on time. After the 2015 Pacific Games, the complex will be available to students of Caritas Secondary. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV Sports.
And in kickboxing, with the aim of structuring a legal framework, the kickboxing fraternity will be entering a new era. As part of the restructure, PNG Kickboxing Association will be launched as a federation this weekend in Kundiawa, Chimbu Province, and is set to regulate and govern member associations and club affiliations in the country.
The lack of following proper process and procedures is the main drive for PNG Kickboxing to look into a restructure and further strengthen the governing body of the code. Among the main objectives that PNG Kickboxing will be focusing on is creating a constitution and legal framework that will strengthen and protect the association, create respective annual calendars, and to identify the funding source to run its programs. With the increase of associations across the country, PNG Kickboxing will expand into a federation. This is to regulate provinces to build associations and districts and schools to register as clubs. PNG Kickboxing Federation was caught in a tug-of-war between Powerhouse Promotions, WKF Oceania, and the World Kickboxing Federation on the sanctioning power of PNG's first world title fight in 2014, leaving the kickboxing fraternity in disarray as to who is given the mandate to administer the sport in the country. PNG KBF will be working closely with World Kickboxing Association, International Sport Kickboxing Association, and A1 World Combat Cup, and will launch the federation this weekend in Kundiawa. Scholar Sengi, National EMTV Sports.
Round 10 of the NRL saw the Melbourne Storm move to the top of the NRL points ladder after defeating the South Sydney Rabbitohs on Saturday evening. And former leaders of the ladder, Brisbane Broncos, have dropped to third after being defeated by the informed North Queensland Cowboys.
Friday night football saw the Sydney Roosters defeat the Canterbury Bulldogs 24 points to 18. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and Jake Friend were instrumental in the Roosters' win.
Handed by Friend, throws a perfect pass to Daniel.
The North Queensland Cowboys proved too strong for the Brisbane Broncos, winning the match 31 points to 20. Michael Morgan grabbed a hat-trick and showed he should be considered for Origin.
He gets the hat-trick. Michael Morgan gets the hat-trick.
A golden point extra time try to Bodine Thompson helped the 15-man New Zealand Warriors side scrape home 17 points to 13 over the Parramatta Eels in front of their home crowd.
Thompson's got it!
The Cronulla Sharks beat the Gold Coast Titans in golden point extra time, with Valentine Holmes slotting in a field goal to secure the win, 23 points to 22.
Goes to Valentine Holmes to give the Sharks their fourth win.
The Melbourne Storm jumped to the top of the ladder with a win over the South Sydney Rabbitohs 16 points to 12. In an entertaining match of football, the Storm proved to have too much class for the Rabbitohs. And the Newcastle Knights secured their first win in 6 weeks with a win over the West Tigers, 22 points to 12.
Play. Manu cleans it up. He goes over the top. Plum gives it back. And Moylan thinking one-pointer.
Matt Moylan sealed the game for the Penrith Panthers, nailing a 39-meter field goal with 6 minutes left on the clock to break the 10-all deadlock as they defeated the Manly Sea Eagles 11 points to 10. Dion Kombang, National, MTV Sports.
Well, that wraps up our Trukai Sports segment for tonight. Coming up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine, Daru sunny and windy, mostly fine expected in Karama, Alotau and Poponeta, mostly fine as well. In the Momasa region, thundery showers expected in Wewak, thundery showers for Vanimo as well, mostly fine expected in Madang, fine weather in Wau, and Lae City to expect a few showers. And in the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau to look forward to thundery showers, rain plus thunderstorms expected in Kavieng. Kokobo and Rabaul to look forward to rain and thunderstorm as well. Thundery showers expected in Buka, while showers in Kimbe. And lastly, in the Highlands region, mostly fine expected in all centres. Now, before we go, quickly recapping our main headlines tonight. Kina Group buys out Maybank, also Wutung Border upgrades, and new PNG Power Board sets goals. Well, that's been the news, sports and weather this Tuesday, the 19th of May, 2015. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi. As always, thanks heaps for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.